cut my microphone. It is 7 p.m. We are reconvening the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education meeting for Monday, March 4th, 2024. The very first thing we're going to do here is the pledge, and I'm going to ask my Holmes Hawks to lead us. So everybody please rise. Thank you. That brings us to item 3.0, board recognitions and presentations. Today we have our Holmes Junior High, and we do not have our Early Learning Center folks. They're all probably back home sleeping by now, presenting about the Student Buddies program. So if you would, I don't know who's starting.
It is. Okay. Trying to get the team together. Good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm Michelle Ramsey, the principal of the ELC. We also have Brandy Boyd, principal of Holmes Junior High. Wes Smith, 7th grade teacher. We have some students who we will introduce shortly. And we have Cindy Placco, and Phil Deppa is here somewhere, along with Melissa Ward. So we have a lot of our team out tonight to talk to you about our Holmes Junior High and ELC partnership. I personally am so excited that we have this back in place. It's been a couple of years, but it's back up and running, and we've had the opportunity to work closely with the Holmes staff and do some really good work this year that we hope to just keep building on as we move forward.
It's been truly amazing to see our kids. It has been truly amazing to see our kids become leaders within our own community. So as you can see, these are the collaboration opportunities that we had. The first one being the library, where our Holmes Junior High librarian led Holmes students in the ELC classes and partner readings of preschool level books. The next was classrooms, where Holmes Junior High students partner with ELC teachers to help deliver lessons, engage during playtime, and to help run stations. We had two more, one being the teacher/office helpers, where Holmes Junior High students work behind the scenes to help prepare materials for the ELC. And then the next one was the multi-purpose room and playground, where Holmes Junior High students partner with ELC students to socialize, play, and model appropriate interactions with peers. And so these were the expectations that we gave our students. What you see here is a CHAMPS acronym, C being conversation, H help, A activity, M movement, P participate, and then S success. And so the purpose that was shared with the students is that it's to build the preschoolers' life skills and ability to socialize while providing home students an opportunity to demonstrate leadership and peer modeling skills. And here is a video from the library time. Do I activate the video too? I think so.
You do indeed.
And as you can see, our kids and the ELC students are 100% engaged. They love the process, and it was so amazing to see how our students really became leaders with them. So next, we want you guys to hear from our actual students, for them to talk about their experiences at the ELC. We have Avery Dwyer. Wave, Avery. We have Mateo. Wait. We have Jason Zolo. We have Adrian Jones, or as we call AJ. Then we have Elijah Lane. And then we have Ellen Lopez. So they are going to get up and talk about their experience in no particular order. So don't forget.
Come on up. Don't be shy. Okay.
Some of my favorite things about being with the ELC kids was probably seeing them interact with other kids while being in the classroom and being able to help the teachers while they're being able to help the other kids. So I was able to, well, cut things for the teacher and see the kids interact with like us and made some kid friends basically. And that's it basically.
I was taught some leadership roles when I was there because we had to make friends with the kids. They didn't just come up to us. We had to go to them and we had to make friends with them essentially, and they had to get used to us. So we had to kind of talk to them before they talked to us. And it was fun when the kids came up to us and started playing with us. And I didn't really do much except for I cut things for the teachers, but they did like talk to us. And even when we were in the classroom and we weren't really doing anything, they still acknowledged us and said hi to us and sang songs for us. And they did their morning rituals and stuff. They still did everything, but they did everything with us. I did enjoy it.
One of my favorite things was definitely interacting with the kids. I'm a big kid person. I like kids a lot. I think they're fun to interact with. And I had one girl, and she was great. She actually ran when I came in the classroom. She like ran up to me and she like hugged my leg. And we did Play-Doh, and then we built like a castle until another kid knocked it down. And I think it's really cool seeing how like they interact and yeah.
One of my favorite things to do with kids is to play like them. Like I just play with my brother and give them love that they sometimes, you know. I don't even know.
I think one of my favorite things when I was there was interacting with each kid. I went to different like sections and like played with the kids, and I like to see the way how they communicate and build like teamwork with each other. They're very open-minded and like they're able to like express themselves even though they're so young. But I think one of my favorite things was to see them, interact and like build teamwork with each other.
What I liked about the kids, I mean, I really didn't do anything because we just looked at them, but it was it was fun. I saw how I acted like a little kid because I went to that school, and like it was fun looking at them and just seeing how they played together, and it just healed my inner child because that's how I was with my sister and my brother. But yeah, that's about it.
Can we give them another round of applause because it takes a lot? And next we just have a video that shows a string of pictures. And so aside from, them coming to us and us going to them and supporting them. These are the other partnerships that we have. We have mystery readers, where we allow our staff to actually sign up to be a mystery reader during the day if they can squeeze it in, which has been really rewarding for a lot of our teachers. The ELC will come to our libraries to do book checkout. They'll do a read aloud with the librarian, and then we have the Honor Society students who volunteer at ELC events. And next, we will hear from our amazing 7th grade social studies teacher, Mr. Smith.
So my name is Wes Smith. As said before, I am the 7th grade social studies teacher at Holmes, but more importantly, the reason that I'm here is I was the staff chaperones for this partnership. I am thrilled to share the success of our collaborative program between our Holmes Junior High Hawks and our Early Learning Center's Junior Hawks. Our 7th graders have emerged as mentors, as leaders, assisting our ELC's amazing staff in teaching the preschoolers valuable life skills and engaging in socialization activities bridging generations. Witnessing the growth in my students both inside our class and during our visits has been unexpected in the best way. Our middle schoolers have embraced their roles with enthusiasm, showcasing empathy, patience, and responsibility. So much so that occasionally my students will ask eagerly when they get back to work with the preschoolers. Not only are they developing essential leadership skills, but they're also fostering a sense of community between our two buildings and empathy, which I have seen directly translate into our classroom. As we reflect on the program's success, we are excited to expand and enhance these opportunities in the future, ensuring even more students benefit from this enriching experience. Thank you for your support in nurturing these future leaders. And on behalf of Holmes and the ELC, thank you so much for your time today.
Excellent. Yes, I have a question for our middle school students. So having had the chance to work with little kids, have you learned any new respect for your teachers and parents and the experience they go through?
You can come up to the microphone if you want.
Yeah, if you want to speak to how is it working with little kids? Do they listen? Do they follow instructions? No, they appear confused. I get a thumbs up. It's okay if you don't want to talk.
Such a wonderful job. I'm sure you could share plenty of things.
Yeah,
It's our pleasure to have you.
I don't expect that answer, but I will also say that the ELC and Holmes must be doing something right, because you just got a bunch of middle school students to express their feelings and talk about how pleased they were working in the program, which I know is a challenge. So thank you so much for doing this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just know that even if you think like I'm just playing with a 3-year-old, like it's fun, like that's how they learn. That's all play based. So you guys are doing just an awesome thing with these little kids.
Yeah, one of the students said, we just went in there. They were just looking at us, but you're role models, right? They're looking at role models. So you're doing more than just reading a story or playing with Legos or Play-Doh, So it's take what you learn here and take it to high school and take it to the next grade and see how you can keep growing that way.
Well, I just want to say that, I'm very proud of everyone, including the staff, obviously, but, just like Robert took my words. I was going to say, you guys are the cool kids, okay? Like when you guys see the high schoolers, you are like the high schoolers for these kids, and it's like for them to see the big kids and the cool kids walk into the room, it's just like, that's enough for them, And just always remember that whatever you do, it's an example for them. If you guys do good, they're going to do good, and they're going to be like, oh, I did what, those kids did, and you guys are doing great right now. And you guys, without even noticing, you are becoming leaders, even though you're just playing, like Robert said, but you are becoming leaders. And hopefully, just like Joe said, maybe a little bit, you guys actually notice what parents do and the teachers do, the sacrifice they make. And I already know it's Hawks, so I know you guys are doing amazing. But yeah, shout out to all the Hawks.
Okay.
I want to know if anyone wants to be a teacher one day. Did you want to before the experience?
we've taught them well.
Yeah. But experiences like that, I will tell you, looking at those pictures, when you see how those kids look at you, I think that says it all about being a role model and being leaders and how they really are watching you. And if you choose to become teachers one day, remember District 59.
All right, thank you, everyone. Let's have everyone come up here for some pictures. Yeah, you want a pen? Hanging out with his brother. Okay. All right, moving on. 4.0 comments and suggestions from the public. We have no one signed up for it. Okay, thank you. So that moves us on to 5.0 superintendent's reports. 5.01 FOIA requests.
We have responded to 3 FOIA requests since the last report to the Board of Education.
Thank you. That moves us on to 6.0, the consent agenda. Before we make the resolution, does anybody need to pull anything from the consent agenda? Any board members? If not, can I get a resolution from someone? Microphone's off. I'll start over with my microphone on. Be it resolved that on the 4th day of March 2024, the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education approved the consent agenda as presented amended 6.01, 6.02, 6.03, 6.04, 6.05. And can I get a second? Any discussion? If not, let's get a roll call.
Zach? Aye. Espino, aye. Johnson?
Aye.
Mancia?
Aye.
Sager?
Aye.
Chesney?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
All right, that moves us on to 7.0 action items. So these are items that were previously brought before the board and are now ready for action. So we've got our resource allocation recommendation 7.01.
I'll make the motion. Keep scrolling. Be it resolved that on the 4th day of March 2024, the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education approves the following resource allocation plan for the 2024-2025 school year to increase the staffing allocation by 18.4 full-time employees for programming and enrollment needs.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Okay. All right, go ahead.
Espino, aye. Johnson? Aye. Mancia?
Aye.
Sager?
Aye.
Chesney?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. All right, 7.02, approval of Brentwood Devonshire boundary realignment for 24-25 school year.
I'll make the motion again. Whereas it has become apparent that Brentwood Elementary School will be over functional capacity and program capacity if no boundary changes are made, and whereas the shift of students in the dual language Spanish program to Frost and an enrollment forecast that predicts a stable enrollment for Devonshire Elementary School into the future, Now therefore be it resolved that on the 4th day of March 2024, the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education has approved the Devonshire boundary realignment to include the Orion Prospect Residential Apartment Complex and surrounding area bordered by Elmhurst Road to the east and Oakton Street to the north. This realignment will be in effect for all new enrollments effective immediately.
I'll second that.
Okay, do we have any discussion on this item? I will say that this was a particular boundary that was brought up unprompted to me several times throughout the discussions surrounding Brentwood by staff and administration and teachers and the community. So if there's no other discussion, let's have our roll call vote.
Okay. Johnson,
Aye.
Mancia,
Aye.
Sager,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Espino, aye. Motion passes.
I say motion passes. I say motion passes.
He says it.
It's okay. Motion passes. 7.03, approval of refuse recycling service. It's okay. I can do the refuse and recycling one. Whereas bids were opened on January 22nd, 2024 for refuse recycling services, whereas 3 bids were received with the recommended low bid submitted by Republic Services, 2101 South Bussey Road, Mount Prospect, Illinois, 60056. Now therefore be it resolved on the 4th day of March 2024, the Board of Education of Community Consolidated School District 59 approved the award for refuse recycling service to Republic Services for the approximate monthly rate of $6,800.90.
Second.
Any discussion on garbage collection? No? Okay, let's do a roll call vote then.
Mancia,
Aye.
Sager,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Espino, aye. Johnson,
Aye.
And the motion passes. Thank you. Okay. That moves us on to 7.04, approval of memo of understanding ESP 12-month position type and benefit alignment. Let's make the motion and then just have a quick brief description of what that means, if that's okay. Okay, so anyone want to make the motion? Otherwise I can. Yeah, you got it?
Yeah, I get it. Whereas this memorandum of understanding is an agreement between the District 59 Education Association and the Board of Education to rectify disparities and achieve a unified operational framework. Therefore, be it resolved that on the 4th day of March of 2024, the Board of Education approves the memorandum of understanding ESP 12-month position type and benefit alignment. The MOU will be effective upon approval of the Board of Education.
Okay, can we just get a brief, second, and then can we get just a brief explanation of what that means in plain language rather than just...
Sure. So we have a group of ESP staff who work in central office who are 12-month. They are the only employees who fall into that particular job category. So we wanted to align those employee groups across some of our other employee groups here at district office. So we worked collaboratively with the DEA to remedy a couple areas, vacation time as well as status for non-negotiated employment across that group, and put that forward, and it was agreed upon by the DEA and agreed upon by the board.
Any further questions from the board on that? All right, let's have our roll call vote.
Sager,
Aye.
Chesney,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Espino, aye. Johnson,
Aye.
Mancia,
Aye.
And the motion passes. 7.05, approval to lift suspension of retirement benefits for administrative and non-negotiated employees, and we'll do the same. I can make that motion if you scroll down. Where is it? It's just that, okay. This is a motion to lift suspension of retirement benefits imposed by board resolution dated January 8th, 2018 to restore the retirement benefits affected by such suspension and to delete the related addendum to the administrative staff and non-negotiated staff handbook adopted the 4th day of March 2024 by the following roll call vote. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All right. And
So this is, pretty much what it states here. There was legislation several years ago that was passed that limited retirement benefits to educational staff, administrative, non-negotiated, as well as bargained in our certified agreements as well. That legislation has been lifted. And so to get back into alignment with previous practices, we are recommending that we suspend that additional addendum to the non-negotiated administrative handbook and return to those benefits.
I think this does not like cost our district specifically any more money to restore those benefits, correct?
Correct. Well, through salaries, yes.
Right.
But through
Beyond the retirement.
post-retirement costs to the district are zero.
Any other questions? No? Okay, let's get a roll call vote.
Chesney,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Espino, I, Johnson,
Aye.
Mancilla,
Aye.
Sager.
Aye. And the motion passes. All right. That moves us on to 8.0, a motion, appointment of new board member. So can I get a resolution on that?
It will be my pleasure to make it. I know we don't want to go to the background, but very short one. After departure of our very long-standing board member, which we're going to have all miss, Mordell, we had a pleasure of interviewing a number of candidates through a series of interviews, and then had a number of deliberation to get us to this point to elect and appoint Nikki Eddy, resident of Arlington Heights, to the position of the board member. So be it resolved that on the 4th day of March 2024, the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education appoints Nicole Eddy to fill the vacancy on the Board of Education until the April 2025 school board elections.
Second.
And I'll second that one.
Okay, before we do the formal vote, I think we should have a little bit of discussion. I just want to briefly thank everyone who applied for the position. There were 12 applicants, and that they were all excellent individuals, highly qualified. I think as board members, we can all appreciate how intimidating it is to put yourself out there and step forward and put yourself forward. So I also think we as board were a little nervous at the beginning that we might not have enough applicants to make a good choice, but we wound up having an excellent pool of candidates. And so I want to thank everyone for their time and effort in applying and being willing to serve the students of District 59. I'm really proud of the way the board worked in this process. We interviewed all 12 candidates. We had many hours of discussions, including extra meetings, and in the end, I think we've come to an excellent consensus. I would just want to briefly say Nikki Eddy is a special education teacher, parent of a home student and a John Jay student, correct? Active in the PTO at both schools for some time, has participated as a parent and community representative in the superintendent search, the 59 strategic planning process, curriculum committee, FACE committee. There was one other that behavior committee, thank you. And while bringing all those experiences along with her, she also showed an excellent willingness to sort of work with the entire board and learn more about the district and move us forward for our students. So I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, if I can make a comment as well. One of the things that I was very proud of throughout the process, because it's a lot of work, and there were nights where we were here and it was almost 11 o'clock late at night, and we're kind of clocking out here at the end of the night for these special sessions. But we work very well together. All 6 of us work very well together. And it was, fortunately, it's behind closed doors when we do these meetings. But I told them previously that I really enjoyed the time we spent back there, because we're very limited as to how we can interact, and there's laws in place as to how we can interact. But when we do, we interact very well and we get things done. And that's kind of our job here, is to hit our goals, achieve our goals, and work together to get there. But I was very proud of all of us there, because I'll admit, when there's 6, the likelihood of a tie is very high. And I had mentioned that I was a little worried whether or not we'd be able to land the plane, but I think we did here. But I just want to say a thank you, because it was a lot of work and a lot of time that we all spent extra in the process over the last 60 days, but it was well done.
I'll just throw in one couple of words, one comment, and this is: it took us all of those hours as a testament to the number and quality of candidates that we had. So I'm very, very thankful to the entire community, to everyone who considered, and even more to everyone who applied, took their time to apply and to come meet us and give us all the information so we can make this excellent choice. Um, Truly, it was great to meet so many great people, and we very much appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, then let's.
I will just echo everyone. I think that with the candidate pool was almost flooring. Just the amount of people who are so dedicated to this community and are so bright and have their own individual talents. And I'm really happy with where we ended up, and I'm looking forward to welcoming a new board member today.
All right. Any other comments or discussion?
I think we got perfect timing.
Perfect timing. We are going to let's have our roll call vote then.
Okay. Zach.
Aye.
Espino, aye. Johnson.
Aye.
Mancia.
Aye.
Sager.
Aye.
Chesney.
Aye.
And the motion passes. We have our new board member.
Congratulations. Right over here.
We're gonna have you stand at the podium, I think, and read the official.
You can memorize it.
It's a long one.
All right, so I'm not repeating anything after anybody. I'm just reading it straight through. Okay. All right. Yes, first challenge. Okay. I, Nicole Eddy, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the School District of Education of CCSD 59 in accordance of the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinions by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual, and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public hearing meeting. I shall abide by majority decision of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for CCSD 59. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have an opportunity to obtain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as educational's key advocate on behalf of students and our community school to advance the vision for CCSD 59. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent
to lead the school district towards fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the area of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and professional or personal development.
So for those of you who are unaware, there's a lot of like optional text in here
Yes,
that you
that's
have
why
to
my
skip
finger-
over that
to-
that is a challenging read through. So yes, you did an excellent job.
Yes. I didn't think I
Okay,
needed
You're
different
official.
glasses.
Yeah, you're official. You take a seat.
Hold on a second.
All right, you ready? Yeah. Okay, that moves us on to 9.0 discussion items, and we've got E-rate purchase cycle, which I assume is Ben.
Yes, so this is the time of the year where we look for our E-rate purchases, and you can see that we are currently looking at an upgraded firewall. So the firewall is one of the key parts of our network. It's what secures our network traffic, inbound and outbound. It also provides our filtering. It provides multiple layers of security. And our current firewall is at its end of life, end of cycle. It'll be out of support. It'll no longer be, we can't even get parts for it after next year. So this is the portion of the time where that device needs to be refreshed. You'll see in the description and the cost, this one takes a little bit of explaining in that the federal E-rate program is one that provides us with up to 80% reimbursement of a purchase on anything that is E-rate eligible. So in our case, you'll notice the first line item is the Palo Alto. That is our actual hardware. That's the appliance, the device. That is fully E-rate eligible. So the E-rate eligible column tells you what portion of the cost is eligible for that 80% discount. The 80% comes from the federal program, determines based on free and reduced lunch stats for the district. It tells you what percent of a discount you get. So for us, we get 80% off of fully eligible costs. Now you'll notice the second line is the subscription. The subscription is what's required to run the device itself. So it's essentially the software that runs on it. According to the E-rate program, that is only 54% E-rate eligible. It's a bit of a curiosity because if you have the device but can't run it, that's a challenge, but that's the way the program is established. We don't have any say or influence on what the federal program determines as E-rate eligible or not. So in this case, the subscription to run the software as a 5-year subscription, that is 54% eligible. Now that's 54% of that cost is then 80% eligible, if you catch what I'm saying. So it is even more complex. It's not even as simple as here's your standard deduction or rate. The next piece is the actual storage and the throughput. So we have, that's fully E-rate eligible. Support, according to the program, is not E-rate eligible. We require support in order to be able to, if anything happens with the device. Obviously, if our firewall goes down, all of our network connectivity across the district goes down. So we want to ensure that we have the highest level of support and uptime. And so unfortunately, the support is not included, but it's a requirement and necessary for us to run the device. Finally, our setup. The setup is fully E-rate eligible. So the total cost for the whole program, the $301,115. Of that portion, the E-rate eligibility is $168,812.24. So if you look at that bottom line, the big total district cost, what we will incur for the 5-year duration of this device refresh is $166,065.21.
That's great. When do we to get the reimbursement? When do we submit the cost for reimbursement? Do we have to wait at the end of 5 years, or do we do it as the cost increase?
Yeah, for this, we make the purchase, and then once the purchase is made, then Janet makes submits the reimbursement, and then we get the reimbursement back.
And this isn't the first time we've gotten E-rate reimbursement.
No, every year. So every year around this time, I come for the most current allocation. And the way the program is structured is every 5 years or so, you're allocated a new E-rate allocation. This is the last of this 5 years that we have. Next year, we'll get our new allocation. We don't know what that allocation will be each year. We don't know what the percent will be each year. We could get less than 80% next year. 80% is about the most that you can get, and that's where we're currently at.
All right. Any further board discussion on that item? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gray. Okay, that moves us on to 9.02, the 24-25 school year pay bus fee. So is that Mr. O'Connor?
Yes, thank you, Dr. President, Board of Education. So for this coming year for the school busing, when there is a child who have to pay for transportation, if they're not eligible, last year the board approved a $525 fee. After talking it through with the committee as well as some of our other teammates, we determined that the December CPI for property taxes was 3.4%. So instead, why don't we also recommend that our fee increase does the same thing, which would make it a $542.85 charge for next year.
And then as a clarification, this is just for the students that live very close to these schools, are not eligible for bus, but families want the option to provide them with the bus. They're going to pay for it.
That is correct.
Can I ask a question about, well, I'm going to ask it anyway, so I don't know why I'm asking if I can ask it. If I live close, let's say I live by Bird, right? But I'm in a program at a location that's further away. Does that mean I'm eligible or I'm not eligible because I'm close to my home school?
You would be eligible. So if you're talking about anything that is like for example, yeah, pretty much, yeah. I mean, you're eligible. So yeah, I can try to think of an advantage.
So like any choice programs, we pay for transportation.
So then my follow-up question is, how many people actually pay for bus?
2 years ago it was 13. It's down to about 7.
Okay, so my next question is, why do we even charge 13 people?
I'll say it flat out. So it would be very difficult for us to bus every child in the district, especially within a mile and a half. So then by doing that, our ridership fee would actually more than double at the very least, which means we need more buses, which we don't have.
But last time, like, buses were 50% capacity, right? Is that, or did I interpret that wrong last time?
You did. But, so recently at our last finance facility committee meeting, we just discussed the plan of how regular ed transportation, it's 2 to a seat. So you'll have schools ranging from 110% that are filled to the brim down to almost 50%. It's all a routing issue though. So like, for example, certain choice programs, you're all over the district. So instead of having that child ride on the bus for like 2 hours, 3 hours, we'll say, well, let's get 2 buses. So then the buses can go in opposite directions to pick up those kids. Granted, it's a lower capacity, but it's so that the child isn't on the bus alone.
Has the district ever pursued anything like creating sort of a threshold? Because a portion of this, correct, is it's a fee to discourage like everybody from signing up for bus service who lives less than a mile from the school, right?
It's just so I can clarify, it's a mile and a half is the boundary, and that's kind of a state set standard in terms of what they will reimburse. So you can choose to transport more, but then they're not eligible for state reimbursement. Or within a hazardous crossing. So a busy road or a train track. If you live, and that's one of the barriers that you would have to cross to get to school, you're also eligible for reimbursement, which creates we provide free transportation. So those are the kind of criteria that we use to establish who gets the automatic transportation for the district.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, historically, has the district ever done anything like create a threshold of, I don't know, 10 kids, and if we're under 10 kids, we don't charge? Because it's a nominal fee, but like, the district's not raking in money from, like, optional bus,
I think it's just that it varies year to year depending on people's individual situations. I think having a fee that's reasonable enough to really make it a choice for parents. Again, if we opened up transportation for everybody or made it a lottery of some kind, or we did it post, I think it would open up perhaps some scrutiny, like, oh, well, I would have gone for it if I knew it was going to be free. And so I think open to discussion. Again, anything is possible if we're willing to pay for it. But I think right now that would be opening up a very large financial commitment and transportation reevaluation if we wanted to do that.
And I also would like to mention that that means we also have to rely on the transportation company to purchase more buses, get more drivers, and they're already at max capacity. So if we were to, let's just say we removed it, let's just say hypothetically, and a family came moving in, some families move in, make a decision, change their minds. Now all of a sudden you have to reroute, change everything up, and now that could be a burden on other families as well, because you told me my kid was going to be picked up at 7:30. Now you've added more kids to my route. It's 7:45. What's wrong with you? That's kind of how we've felt and we've heard it over time. That's kind of, I mean, transportation's a tough deal.
Maybe going forward, I don't know if like we could gather info on the applicants as to the reasoning why they're selecting, so we at least have an idea as to why parents pay or want this option, because it may be something for us to consider.
I personally feel when we had 7% CPI or whatever, we didn't raise it 7%, right?
Correct.
Right. So I'm kind of okay with it stays 525. It's a nice round number. Do we really need the extra $30 or $20, whatever it is?
This is just, I mean, it's a justification for.
It's a justification, right? But
you know.
It's more of an disincentive for people to. It's an economic disincentive for people to ride the bus, and I see no difference between 525 and 542.85. I don't know.
I guess that's kind of like, why are we charging to begin with? I get, now I understand the reasoning to discourage people from, because you can sign up for the bus and never use it, but we still got to account for those spots, right? So I get that. But yeah, I don't think we need to raise it by $17. That's my opinion.
Okay. 525 is a nice round number. I just don't like the 85 cents mainly.
Dr. Sager, people don't carry change with them anymore.
I know. I understand. But you have to write it on the check.
So we will update that back to the 525 for the recommendation for next meeting.
Good. I think that's the sense of the board, right? Yeah. Okay.
These are kind of like motions or items of annual, like we'll see these recurring items year over year.
Yeah. So we discuss them and then we'll act on them next time. All right. That moves us to 9.03, which is not a yearly thing. It's a new thing.
Correct. So with the food service contract, I realized that it was on discussion last month, but that is to make sure that it is on the radar for not only the board, but also the community. The district has submitted its bid that has to be approved by ISB, and we are again looking at something that's not necessarily the lowest bidder, but we are looking for the best value. So we'll keep that in mind. As an aside, we do have, for example, one of the things we're looking for is student participation. So this week is National School Breakfast Week. If you're lucky enough, you can go to one of our schools and you can try one of the waffles that they have that are warm in a little packaging. And you can try them. The kids are trying them. We're trying to get them involved on something that is within the requirements for the National School Lunch Program, as well as the breakfast program. And then the kids are voting on their favorite waffle. So today was, they had a maple syrup waffle. I know it was a hit at J-Lo. Friendship, we had a couple kids who said they could make better, but they're going to try it. It was pretty cool. So we're going to see tomorrow how it goes. There's going to be different flavors the next week.
How do food service vendors know that we're going out for bid? Like, do we email them, or how do they find out?
The state has a list that you're supposed to send it out to everybody, and they also send it to.
Okay.
They ensure that everyone has their hand in a situation to make sure that they have, an opportunity.
So in that case, we're not going, or like I know we're gonna get like the options and stuff like that, but like personally, I don't know how it tastes, but I got 3 kids in the district, and out of the 3, I packed them lunch. And I know friends, don't like it, but if we could also not only see how much it's gonna cost, but maybe just a heads up, like what the menu is, so maybe we can also like see, because I know it's like it's not like a big breakfast, it's not like a huge lunch, but at the end of the day, that's what we're giving our kids, And if we're giving them just cheap food, then they're not gonna have energy, and they're not gonna concentrate. I know, I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to like save money and stuff like that, but I'm just thinking, if that's what we're feeding our kids, maybe I shouldn't say stuff, but
So, no, Mrs. Spino, so, I mean, this is dialogue, correct? I mean, we need to flush things out. One example of what we're looking at, what was never really checked out, and we're trying to bring it in because the previous contracts didn't allow for it. And we've seen different districts that have done this phenomenally, and where you can see, you can do working with like Little Caesars, and you can say, hey, look, here's what we need to fit within the requirements for the school program for lunches or for the breakfast. And then they can work within that range to make sure that that day, hey, it is Little Caesars, but it has the ingredients that suffice for National School Lunch Program. As of right now, we're locked in where we can't do that. So that is a priority.
So when we put out the request for bids, we included options like that.
So part of it is, we'll say, it's essentially, how do you grow your program? What give us the thoughts and ideas? And they're going to hear, like, for example, another district mentioned Panda Express. You can deliver that food the way it's made. And I give a lot of kudos to Dr. Bresnahan, because she assisted with looking at different ways for food. She listens to us a lot about a lot of things. And she hears the kids, she goes to the hallways, and she goes, hey, Ron, why don't you check out this district? I've heard about this and that. And that's where some of these ideas are coming from. So it's...
And I will say, it is, if any of you have kids at home, it is really hard to feed them. And I consider myself a pretty good cook, but even 2 out of 4 kids are going to eat my dinner, right? So I think the other piece is really obviously listening and finding things that are going to attract the broadest population of our kids to eat. But also what is really challenging is maintaining within those school nutrition guidelines. There is very particular bread that you have to use. The meat has to be a certain content. There is a lot of things that, it's fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that, which those seem to be the things that get left over at lunchtime. So it's educational for the kids as well. It is an ongoing battle for sure. I think we try to be creative with our food vendors, because I think that there's a lot more opportunity that we could have. But knowing, again, it's not going to be 100% of the kids loving every single thing. And if they find a trick for that, then I will start using them at home as well. But I think we have some ideas for improvements for sure. I think we need to work within, I don't think the lowest cost is our driver, which is a positive thing and an opportunity for us. I think also knowing that we're going to an outside vendor, there are some limitations in terms of providing nearly 6,000 kids breakfast and lunch every single day. It's a heavy lift for sure. So I appreciate all our food service staff and the work that they do. They work incredibly hard, and they do really try to work with our kids and hear their voices. So I don't want to discredit them, but there's a lot of limitations from a government perspective on what they can do.
So when we're talking about limitations from the government, are we talking about you gotta be fitting into this specific area? You can't get better, you can't get worse, or is it the minimum thresholds? Because that's where my curiosity is. Because I mean, I mentioned it before. My daughter just tried maybe lunch once or twice in the past 4 years and decided she doesn't like it and she will not try it again. I'm hoping we can. Quality is is a driver, not just for my daughter, but for every kid. Because I mean, that's how they grow, right?
So
And
yeah, Miss.
especially when we're talking about different communities that need those nutritions, right? So I would be more than happy to say, hey, maybe we can get something, not a pizza, but something more healthy, right?
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ron.
Exactly. So, Mr. Chesney, that's one of the biggest things that we're doing at this time is because unfortunately the federal government does say you can only have so many grams of this or oats or this like in these meals, and it's kind of one of those like no comment. But anyways, the whole point of it is part of that bid process is to avoid those limitations and make sure that within those structures that we do provide the best meal. And thank goodness the state finally stated, like we finally passed this law throughout education where you don't have to pick the lowest bidder for food service. This will be the first year that we're actually in this game.
So I had two things. I think one thing we need to look at is kind of what Ms. Spino was saying was that they're small portions for kindergartners, but they're pretty much the same portions when we go up to middle school, not much bigger. So making sure that we have enough if this is like their only meals that they're having. But also I do like the idea of having different companies bring in, I just don't know cost-wise, like how much a parent would have to pay compared to, having just the food service come in. So that's something that, definitely looking into.
And unfortunately, yeah, the government does dictate portion size as well. And then you see, if you guys have seen the, as a group, if we all seen the, what do you call it? There was some research on this, like how much food waste has been going on because it's required that you have to take the fruit and you got to take this piece and you got to do this. So then Stacy Manuel did a fantastic job in creating these food carts so that some of the food you can let left over that you never touched can be put there so that if a child really needs some additional, it's so, and the thing is the state comes in.
Maybe an opportunity for Ms. Manuel to even present on that as we go through our food bids and we get to that process because it is it is not like serving a meal in your home. And even you can't take two of this category. It has to be one from this category and one from this category. So if they really like that, they can't just take two of that, right? So there's definitely limitations. Then reimbursable meals, and for those that are, get those meals provided for them, there's very specific things. There's a lot to share and learn about it if you are all interested in that level of detail, for sure. But it's very complex.
I actually think that based on the length of this discussion, it is something as parents we're all very interested.
We need a committee of the whole
Yes.
on lunch.
I have to say, my grandmother was one of the ones in CPS that had to make that and punch those cards and did all that. So I do know that there are really strict guidelines.
So I think that would be a good next step as we get through the process. Then we can bring that in and just educate and provide more information around.
And
what
I
is it
like
we're
that
really
the kids are participating. I just saw that post today about the breakfast thing, the waffles. So I'm actually happy that they actually get to vote now, at least, and then be like, we don't like this one and we like this one. So maybe that can guide us to a better thing. So I appreciate that. Whoever came up with that idea, good job.
I think we should have to do like 30 days of where all we eat is those lunches, like supersize me, and then we can see.
Are you talking about Super Size Me?
Yeah. But aren't we the question I had? So these are like federal, like are these like minimums or like you have to be like within a range? Like we can't exceed like. But like, aren't we the government? Like, we don't have any control over.
If we choose not to participate in the National School Lunch Program, you have different criteria. If we participate in that to get reimbursable rates for our meals, then it is more strict in terms of those minimums and maximums of what we kind of have to balance out for
And
our
so
meals.
is the entire cost of the free and reduced lunch program paid for by, or do we subsidize some of that?
I believe it's the reimbursable meals are the free are 100% reimbursable.
there. And then the rest of it is.
And then it's, reduced is at a different amount.
Yeah, they have like the
Which,
rates.
I mean, when you're talking at some of these reimbursable rates, it's, like $1.50 per meal. I can't imagine what you're trying, what you're trying to put together to build a meal with that cost. Food service directors do an amazing job and have a lot to juggle when it comes to.
I'd be but as we do this, I'd be curious to see like the finances of it, like what we get reimbursed versus what we decide to give them.
On it.
And
Sorry,
just
Ron.
just a one quick note for the board members, for the benefit of the board members. I know Ron is looking at all the options and all of the how we can structure different vendors, etc. Even we during the facilities finance and facilities meetings, we even discussed kind of future long term if there's an option of our own kitchens or not, and so he's looking at everything. So what's going to be most economical and best for our students, because in our committee meetings we're also looking at quality, not just the money.
And we asked about this in the facilities and finance committee. If we go with a contract, we're not required to stay with them that whole time. So we have options in the future.
Correct.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That moves us on to maintenance vehicles bid, which I assume is Mr. O'Connor as well.
So the district has done its best practice in years past to purchase, for example, in this case, a 2024 Ford E350 van and an F350 truck. So what we're trying to do is, instead of worrying about the maintenance cost over time, the way the car, the vehicle looks, the way it's damaged, we recycle them. We have vehicles right now that are over 10 years old that have not been replaced still. I do recognize that we did ask for the board to purchase a vehicle last year. It never came to fruition because of the microchip situation, and the vendor couldn't come through. So we're not going to replace it. We're just going forward with these two for now. We're going to ask for that. We're looking at a September arrival for these two vehicles with trade-ins. It went out to multiple vendors, and this is what we've come up with a net bid of $151,523.88.
What are we trading in? That seems low for a trade-in. Is it old or?
It's very old, yeah.
It says in there it's a 2009 Silverado with.
I'll give you 6,000 for it.
We got you on record. I'll say no deal. I got you. But yeah, and part of it, honestly, is the ambiance. Like, we are a district that should be proud of how we personify ourselves. We've talked about this. It's very nice to see. When I can't tell you, I've had community members even say, I know the 59 trucks. They know what, we have great equipment, but we got to keep it up. And it helps our guys. So for example, one of them is going to be a snow plow. It has a plow attachment to it. It's a very huge benefit for us. So I appreciate it.
All right. I see no further discussion. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you.
All right. That moves us on to 10.0. Reports of the Board of Education.
Dr. Sager, what are the reports of the Board of Education?
So for our newest board member, reports of the Board of Education are any committee meetings you've attended, if there's something you need to say, other events you've attended throughout the district, that sort of thing. So it's our chance to update each other on what we've been working on. So anybody got some?
I attended Literacy and Math Night at Ridge. It was a fantastic night, very well attended. I want to thank the teachers and staff at Ridge for their dedication and staying very long after hours to put that together for the kids, and also the district people who were there. And my kids' favorite part was the therapy dogs. They were very cute and they got to read to them, so that was really nice.
I did attend briefly the BPAC event, Dive into Reading. I hope I got the title right, this weekend. It was here. Nice crowd that showed up. A lot of events in every single little room that we have in here. But I was only here for a very short time. I know that there was some Wonka tickets and prizes and things for all the kids that I missed out on, but it was a good event.
One more thing, if there are any parents listening and your child attends an Elk Grove school, please consider contacting your local PTO about the flower and plant sale. It's a great cause and will benefit our students. And the flowers are beautiful.
And I will be there sorting the flowers in May. I do that every year, yes. I have several NSSEO things. I did the NSSEO facilities meeting. There they discussed the Kirk School HVAC is in rough shape and is sort of their first. Mr. O'Connor was there as well. That needs to be a priority. Minor School, which is actually rented by NSSEO, is owned by District 25. They got funds when they did their referendum to replace part of the windows this summer, the rest of the windows and HVAC upgrades next summer. And there's going to be part of a strategic plan to develop plans around those costs going forward. They've got a 10-year facilities plan, and they're going to work on how do they fund that long term. I also coming up on March 13th is the NSSEO Educational Foundation. They have 21 and over bingo night at the Arlington Ale House. That's Wednesday, March 13th, 7 to 9 p.m. It benefits their educational foundation, and it's a fun time. Let's see, last week, TR and I attended the North Cook Division meeting along with Dr. Bresnahan, and they had a discussion of the teacher pipeline and projected teacher shortages and some strategies to work on improving that, including things like mentoring new teachers and things that we just approved in our resource allocation update. I also attended the Grove Band concert for the 8th graders because as a parent, but I was there, and it's amazing the progress you see from 5th grade to 8th grade. It's night and day. It's amazing, and our music program does a wonderful job with our students. Last Thursday, I attended Bird Math Night. This was a trial run of our future Coffee with the Board events. So I got us a big pot of coffee, and I hung out while parents were walking around, and I had a sign that said Coffee with the Board. Parents really appreciate free coffee at 6 to 7 p.m. on a school night when they're at math night. So I've shared with everyone, and I'll share with our newest board member, a spreadsheet of future events, and the goal is to get us to sign up for those. And it's things like that, math nights, things where parents will already be in the building. I've got a coffee pot and coffee for us to take and share with people. So we'll start advertising those hopefully in the next month or so once we get some people signed up. And then on Saturday, I attended a fundraiser for the Southwest Co-op. I'm not going to say their full name, which is really long. Their Deaf and Hard of Hearing program had a fundraiser at the Fifth Third Arena, this Blackhawks practice rink. And I got to hand out jerseys to little kids. And then I got to, meet the Deaf and Hard of Hearing program staff, go ice skating. They did give hockey a try for the kids, did a tour of the Blackhawks facilities. It's something they might start doing yearly, and maybe we can get some of our NSSEO and our deaf and hard of hearing students involved in the future. All right, others? No? Good. All right, that moves us on to informational items. Do we have some?
Yes, we have one kind of special presentation that Mr. Ludloff is going to do for us. I know, but we wanted to follow up after our, this is worth staying for, Mr. Ludloff. We wanted to
Yes.
follow up after our last presentation on winter benchmarking, and just this is really exciting and really celebratory
Yes.
data. And I think Tom has done an amazing job doing a deep dive along with Dr. Sager and some special opportunities in working with the people that did this research. So take it away.
So if you recall, at the end of our benchmark last week, we talked about the education recovery scorecard. And we shared some of those graphs and where District 59 was falling with reading and math. As part of that, we were encouraged by some of Dr. Sager's comments and his deeper dive to really get into this is called the CEDA piece, the Stanford Education Data Archive. They've been archiving state testing data since 2009. The key to this piece, they've really tried to look at COVID, before COVID 2019, and what's happened after. And then really taking as many districts that have data in the country to be able to do some comparisons. So as part of that process, we showed where we fell on that graph. We're going to dig a little deeper and just show and highlight more in a table some of that data. So this is the all group. So that's everyone who took the test, all subgroups, everyone. The top piece, this is math. And what you see here is these three kind of key comparison pieces. We'll focus on that top one. So 2019, pre-COVID, to last year's state data across 5,597 districts. In math, District 59 was 43rd. So that means better than 5,500 school districts across the country. It's the 99th percentile. The way Tricia Senni always tells me to say that is we did better than 99% of all the school districts in the country in growth. That's pretty impressive. It's more than impressive. Then we want to see where do we fall with the state. So there are 576 districts in this database. We were 11th out of that. That's the 98th percentile. So when you look at where we were before COVID to where we were last year in math, we've made significant progress and growth. And when you look at this piece, even if you compare 2019 to 22, 98th percentile, just 2 years ago to last year, the 90th percentile. You can see that falls very similar with the state. So we're growing at a rate that really is at the end of the line, which is really impressive. When you look at our score, that's the bottom piece. So then when we talk the score, in 2019, across the nation, we were at the 15th percentile. That means we scored as well or better than 15%. That increased to 40, and then last year, 48. For the state, 18 to 37 to 45th. So we're right in that average range. I think you've heard me say many times it's great to be average. So that is math, and we know we've seen significant growth in math and all the work that goes with that. At the same time, when we talk about reading, now we're talking the same data for reading. Again, we're in the 95th percentile for growth from 2019 to 2023 across the nation, and the 73rd for Illinois. And you can see how that data then falls out. So we're continuing to grow when we compare to where we were. And then if you look at that bottom piece, you see our scores growing. They still have room to grow, obviously, but we're growing across all those pieces. Huge celebration. Sometimes I think I get so excited I don't explain this really well. But when you start talking 5,000 districts, 4,000 districts, and where we fall into that, 6,000, 7,000, it's quite impressive. You might see the change. You'll notice on top, last year 5597, the year before 7060, and looking at their technical reports, many districts changed their tests. So once you change your test, you can't compare. So then they pull them out of the data set. So that's just, Illinois has not done that at all. So this is the all group. Super impressive, super excited. The great work of our staff, our leaders, of course, our kids, our families, to see that growth over time. And it's not a one-time thing. It's not a two-time thing. We're really looking at 3 years. And their whole purpose of this shift in the study was, as we've talked about, many districts across the country are not seeing, they're going the other way. They're losing progress from where they were in 2019 and not growing or getting back to where they were. There's I think it's in this actual technical report or something that was shared with me recently. They state that we lost about 40% of our growth on state type testing pre-COVID to post-COVID. And I think that was connected to the NAEP test, which is a national test they sample kids on. So again, this is such a great celebration for our district. I always talk about this is system data. This tells us how we're doing as a system. Schools look different, but when we do work, the whole system moves, and that's what this is really showing. Couple other slides. Then we have 4 subgroups that our data is part of. We have enough kids to be part of it. So this is economically disadvantaged and economically, actually it's all economically disadvantaged. Sorry, I'm pausing myself because there it is. Thank you. I always need help. So yes, so kids who qualify for free and reduced lunch and kids who don't. And then you can see how that flows. Most impressive for me is when you focus on those percentiles, they're all in the 90s, whether it's Illinois or the nation. So we're doing, I think our lowest is 90% across, whether that's 3 years of growth, 2 years of growth, or even 1 year of growth. So then you can see how it flows across those different groups with scores. Again, impressive stuff, especially in math. We see it growing at a pretty high rate. This is reading. So now you can start to see we're still in some 90s, but we've got some 70s, some 50s. I mean, honestly, anything above 50 is you're above average. So all of our growth in reading and math for both are economically disadvantaged and not economically disadvantaged are above the 50th percentile. Powerful stuff. And you can see how that grows across each individual piece. And then the final two pieces, the two groups that we have the population that we get results are for Hispanic and white. Again, you can see how this flows. Again, all the percentiles are in the 90s. One thing you can see when you start to jump down into those scores, especially at the state level, you start to see the difference between, in our district, you talk about the achievement gap between Hispanic and white, or on the previous slide, economically disadvantaged and not economically disadvantaged. But again, excellent progress and growth compared to the nation and the state. And then it's the same data for reading. So again, we dropped down a little bit, but you're still seeing a lot of 90s when it comes to growth. And you can see our data growing pretty significantly in some places. You can see when you talk about scores, especially compared to the state, we're not seeing the growth on the Hispanic side yet.
Yeah. So just to remind everyone, this is after 2 years of math curriculum implementation, right?
Correct.
Right. And then reading is implemented this year. So this is the data from the year before.
Yes. But significant work on the reading side, especially with
Right.
early literacy and things, but not a full-on new
curriculum.
literacy program. Yeah. Correct.
And so I think the most impressive thing, if you go back to sort of like the first slide or the first few slides, this one, the way we got to 99th percentile in math growth was we had a 98 and a 90, right? Consistent growth year to year. It's possible for a district to have a lucky year where you get a big surge and you hit above 90%.
Sure.
But to get to that top, that 99th percentile, you have to have consistent growth year over year. And I think that this is something that the teachers especially should be proud of, as you want to see the work that you've been putting in for the last few years, the struggles getting through COVID and working on accelerating out of it. This is that payoff, and it's a big deal, including our superintendent's team, the teachers, the parents, and the students all in that.
It's a big
amazing.
deal.
Yeah, and obviously the hope is you keep
We-
doing that, and
We want to
it's
continue on that
really
path.
impressive stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime you get in the, double digits, 43rd, 11th, 22, and you're talking about hundreds and thousands of districts, you have to pause and go, whoa.
And I'm always going to be stuck on, I know it says 48th percentile there in math. We know we're better than that right now. We have internal data that shows we're better than that right now.
We're on a great path in across the board.
I want to say we're above 50%.
And that's the reason, Tom, that's the reason I caught you saying it's great to be average. I think you meant to say it's great to get to average and then beyond.
Beyond, I think that's
right?
a great way
Because
to describe
that's-
it.
I think that's important. I love the trajectory, the speed of growth. I mean, I'm not gonna minimize the fact that we're coming from the area where we were quite low, and it's easy to make the big jump when you're on the floor, but at the same time, it's consistent year after year. So it's great to see that.
Yeah, I think that piece, and where it's significant for me is, yes, we had room to grow, but when we went through 2 years of COVID and so many districts have not yet recovered, we've accelerated our growth through that process. Any other questions, comments?
Share these slides with us.
I will put it in Friday's update. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you very much, Tom. All right. That's no more informational items, or is there?
The only piece I want to throw out, and I mentioned this to Dr. Sager at the start, but we are going to be planning, now that we have our full board, we're going to be planning for dates for board meetings and calendars for the 24-25 school year. So be thinking, I would like the board to just ponder the days on which we meet, if there's opportunities for shifting from Mondays and opening that up for board discussion
Mhm.
at some point. So something to be thinking about.
And is there opportunity to discuss the 7 o'clock time? Are we
we're
open to that?
welcome to do that as we plan our calendar for next year. We can have a discussion of that now that we've had a year of it.
Mhm.
As I've always said, it doesn't personally affect me that much. I know we're all parents now, which makes it a little more challenging. And so let's have that discussion.
yeah.
We got a little bit of time, but something to start thinking about.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we could think about, do we want to still stick with closed sessions beforehand? Do we want to go back to them being
like them
after, or that sort of thing? Yeah.
I think if we can do every meeting like tonight. we're
Oh yeah,
good.
tonight
Yeah.
is good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that we do not need this last closed session. I think we're all set. So that was just a in case sort of thing. So we are on to adjournment. 14.0.
I move that we adjourn.
Can I get
Second.
a second? Lucas. All right. All right. Daisy, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Spino, if you could, your first vote.
Espino. Aye. Johnson.
Aye.
Mancilla. Sager.
Aye.
Stresny.
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
And then hold on.
You write Eddie in the blank.
Yes.
That was a placeholder.
Give me 1 second. Eddie. Aye.
And the motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations.